If you had the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, what would you do? Probably take a quarterback who you think can turn your team around, or take the best or one of the best players in college football. Well, the Jaguars went in a completely different direction and drafted edge rusher Travon Walker, who in his entire career at Georgia didn't even record 10 sacks. It is super rare to see a guy who's only started a year in college go so high in the draft. You see it every so often with quarterbacks, but that's only because it's a position based on almost pure potential. For linemen, on offense or defense, you're going to want to see some more consistency before taking a shot on them. Travon Walker, however, only has a season to really look at. But if you can be enough of a physical freak, it really doesn't matter. And that brings us to his truly insane combine. To put it simple, a 275-pound man is not supposed to be able to run a 4.51 40-yard dash. His 6.89 seconds 3-cone drill is in the top 10% of drafted edge rusher times. Walker is what you would call a workout warrior. He's a guy that didn't put up good numbers in college, but that's okay. DK Metcalf is a recent name that really sticks out as a guy that wasn't very good in college, at least statistics-wise, but if you look at his numbers, you're like, holy shit, this dude is a freak. If you're a Travon Walker stan, then you're going to point out that he's a physical freak and checks every athletic box there is. But if there is any question and concern, it's that Walker has only had 9.5 sacks in college. Not just as a junior, in his entire collegiate career. He only got to start 1 year at Georgia, and a lot of that has to do with, well, it's Georgia. I mean, just look at that defense that willed the Bulldogs to a national championship last season. It was insane. You have 3 defensive linemen, including Walker, 3 linebackers, and 2 defensive backs, all who were considered good prospects who probably wouldn't be on the board after day 2 of the draft. And that alone is insane, and a big reason why, in a way, Walker has flown under the radar. That Georgia defense was historically good. Therefore, the stats were spread out amongst a ton of studs. Walker did start in every single game for the Bulldogs, and he put up good stats: 37 tackles and 6 sacks. Now, those numbers don't jump off the page, but he led the team with 36 QB hurries, and most importantly, he was a dog, pun intended, in the national championship.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Against Bama, he had a career-high 7 QB pressures. Pretty good timing to have the best game of your collegiate career. Walker was successful in his first 2 years at Georgia, but it was nothing compared to the following season. So, what really happened? Well, most importantly, he went from a 300-pound defensive tackle to a 275-pound edge rusher, and because of that, he really played all over the line. There were plenty of positives to look at from his junior year in Athens, but it still didn't change the fact that he just hadn't played much, let alone at edge. Walker only played in 9 games as a sophomore because he had to ride the bench all year. It was even less playing time than he had as a freshman, thanks to COVID, of course. He played in 12 games as a freshman, which is pretty impressive for a guy at Georgia, and was named a freshman All-SEC and co-defensive newcomer of the year. With how his pre-draft has gone, with the sudden rise from a good prospect to, well, the best prospect, a lot of people consider Travon Walker to be an underdog, but that's not really the case. We're not talking about a guy who just has never gotten any recognition whatsoever here. This isn't a Baker Mayfield or Cooper Kupp story. Travon Walker was a top 500 high school recruit of all time. He was the 22nd best in the 2019 class, 3rd best defensive tackle, and 2nd best player in Georgia. Walker wasn't some diamond in the rough gem the Bulldogs found in some small town. He was a 5-star recruit that was offered by Bama and Clemson. He went to Upson Lee High School and just dominated kids that were smaller and frankly not even close to athletic as he was. Walker played defensive line plus tight end and, get this, running back. Yes, running back. Imagine being a high schooler and having to try to tackle a dude that is 6'5", 270 pounds. That shit's scary. Even this offseason, Walker hasn't just come out of nowhere either. There's a big difference between what casual football fans think versus what people in front offices think. And the reality is, teams have been infatuated with Travon Walker for months. Daniel Jeremiah, one of the most popular mock draft creators, slotted Walker at 5 to the Giants in February, and people flipped out. He continued to defend his belief that Walker could go top 5, and well, here we are. DJ was right. But was it the right pick for the Jaguars? Well, it is a risky game. When you have the first overall pick at the draft, I think you either take a swing at a quarterback, which Jacksonville doesn't need to do, or you go all in on a surefire elite player. There are a few players that I believe fell into that category, and Travon Walker wasn't one of them. However, he probably does have a higher ceiling than any of the Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau type players. I understand why you take Travon Walker at 1, but I don't think that's a risk I'd take at number 1. But that's okay, because if this works out for the Jaguars, nobody will really give a damn. In football, a lot of building a team is built around the most important position on offense, the quarterback, and the most important player on defense, which is almost always your edge rusher. Whether that's technically a defensive end in a 4-3 defense or an outside linebacker in a 3-4, regardless, it's the most important player on the field for the defense. You can build a defense around an edge guy, and if you have a player that can completely disrupt the run game, and Travon Walker can, or consistently pressure the quarterback, then you're going to be fine. That's one of the reasons why I personally like the Jaguars taking Travon Walker to an extent. You got your key player on offense, Trevor Lawrence, first overall last year. Now you get your key on defense. Head coach Doug Peterson has already said Jacksonville is going to run a 3-4. So Travon Walker is probably going to end up attacking the tackles or blocking tight ends opposed to dropping back in coverage, which personally I think is perfect. Tall guy, long arms, I want him grabbing and disrupting the play on the line, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing in Jacksonville for years to come. And if Travon Walker and Trevor Lawrence develop into what the Jaguars think they can become, watch out for Jacksonville.